All right, so first the president wanted his personal doctor to be the head of the VA. Then he wanted his personal pilot to be the head of the FAA. Now he wants a former anchor from his personal morning show to be the choice to replace former Governor Nikki Haley as the UN ambassador. This is a cabinet-level position. That means that Nauert would have tremendous responsibility for maintaining our foreign relations. She's been at the State Department for like a year and a half, all right? Originally as a comms person, communications. How does she qualify for the president's pledge to bring us only the best? Let's ask Jennifer Granholm and Mike Shields. Two pieces of information to get you guys going here, and thanks both for being here. This is Nauert's bio, all right? I just pulled it from online. It's like 2.5 paragraphs, all right, of what she's done professionally. And this is not to disparage. I know Heather. I've watched her on TV for a long time. She was a good anchor. It doesn't necessarily make you a diplomat. Now, it's interesting that, Governor, we had Mike Pompeo and John Bolton both supposedly think, according to the latest reporting, that this position should be downgraded from cabinet level. Yeah, no surprise if you're putting up a name like a Fox News anchor in order to do the job. What's your take?
Well, first of all, being at the UN you are the center of America's face to the world. So there's 195 countries in the world, and the people who go there from those countries, they are people who have been in the midst of foreign policy for decades. So my concern, I am sure she is a smart person and that she's a great PR person, a great spokesperson. She could be doing maybe Sarah Huckabee Sanders' job. But most people who go, the Adlai Stevenson, the Daniel Patrick Moynahans, the Madeleine Albright, were people who had either been steeped in scholarship or had been steeped in governmental service by being elected or had been steeped in foreign policy service. She has none of that. And so the concern is, of course, how she will be viewed, not just by the people at the UN, because it's such a deep, serious position, but also will she be able, without that deep chops, to be able to stand up to someone like John Bolton or Donald Trump, or at least speak her mind in a way that suggests strength like Nikki Haley was able to do.
Well, Nikki Haley, as a bounce point to you, Mike, she didn't have all that foreign diplomat experience either, but she was a governor of a state. And so you understand a level of government and import and executive decisions and how to deal with that kind of gravity. So you give her the nod, and let's be honest, by most accounts, she did a very admirable job in the time. How do you feel about this selection?
Well, and guess what? Nikki Haley was criticized by Democrats for not having any foreign policy experience, and then she did a great job when she was given the chance. And
but again, she was a governor.
I think it is commendable that the president has nominated or could potentially nominate a second woman for this position.
There are lots of women you could give this nomination to, by the way.
Yeah, great. I'm glad that he's doing that, and I think that we should give her a chance before we suddenly decide that someone who's been working at the State Department, who's in the inner circle of Mike Pompeo, who has the trust of the President and the Secretary of State, who are formidable leaders, obviously, in the government, and they have her trust, and we've already decided that she can't do the job. Why is that?
Because she's never done anything like it on any level,
ever to be nominated.
Sure, she's being given a chance. And by the way, it wouldn't be the first time. If she was downgraded and it was actually through the Secretary of State, that's happened before. That wouldn't be the first UN ambassador that the government had been set up that way, and that's up to the President, the Secretary of State, how they want to do that. But I actually think it is really hypocritical for the left and for Democrats to talk about promoting women, to talk about giving women a chance, to talk about...
It's not any governor. It's not like I want you to be the quarterback for the Jets just so we could say we had a woman do it. You got to have some experience. Hold on, Mike. I take your point, but this is the problem with the evolution of gender sensitivity. It's like, hey, we're going to throw you a bone, Gov. We're going to put one of yours in the position.
Exactly.
She's a woman. Shut up. You should be happy. What's the real basis of satisfaction?
Can I just say that it's a really insulting thing to say, let me just throw a woman up there and therefore our woman problem will be cured, or therefore the Democrats are hypocritical if they criticize. This would be the least experienced UN ambassador in the history of the United States. That's nothing to say, oh, let's just give her a shot. Let's just try it. Can she stand up to Russia and to China
as
they're asking to alleviate the sanctions? Let's find out. There are 325 million people in America whose
I'm saying let's
future
find out
counts
before you
on
criticize
somebody
her.
with
Why don't you let her have a
experience.
day in the job?
Well,
If she can't do the job, then sure, let's come back
Why
on
would you
CNN
do
on
it
this
that
debate
way?
and
So
you can
why
say
not
I thought
she's
you
doing a
meant,
terrible
hold on a
Chris
second.
Cuomo
Mike,
went. I
I
mean-
thought you meant that maybe we should go through some confirmation and see how she holds
she-
up to scrutiny, even though I believe
She
that
will
that's,
have to be.
I believe that that's a completely plastic protocol, frankly. It's just meant to push people through unless you are really an aberration of cause. Just being a in the media alone, she should get through that process. But Mike, since when is that your vetting standard? Let's give them a crack at the job. Let's see how they do.
No,
and if
what
they
I
stink,
didn't
we'll
say that was the
remove them.
vetting standard. What I'm saying is that's not what I'm saying is a vetting standard. There is a vetting standard. It's gone through the wide. The president, by the way, has been considering lots of other candidates, has been talking to lots of people about this. He didn't just sort of wake up one day and decide
Can't
this.
find
It's been
anybody better than a Fox
it's
and
been-
Friends anchor to do the job.
It's been reported many times that he's considered lots of candidates. He and Mike Pompeo have obviously, and John Bolton have had a big influence, and they've changed the foreign policy structure at the White House over the last 6 to 8 months, and they're continuing to do that.
So you think
and
she's
so
the best
I
they
think
could find?
what I'm saying is before you just come on here and decide that this young woman can't do a job, why don't you actually see what her performance in the position is
Because
before you
that's
just
not
decide
the way
that
it
she
should
can't
work.
do
You
it?
shouldn't risk the values, the interests, and the policies of the United States on a farm team play. That's not how it works. Fine, give her the shot. Put her in charge of something at the State Department where she's not as exposed to the universe of global diplomacy, so that we all have to pay the price
and let's look at
for
where
her
she's
on-the-job
going.
training.
I also think that there's a difference in this president's approach to how he even addresses things like the United Nations. The United Nations is not a body that this president and this administration believes in deeply. This is a United Nations that is completely anti-Israel and continues to be,
That's an
including a
interesting
vote that
point that
happened
Mike's
this
making.
week.
Mike, you make an
And so-
interesting point. Governor, let's pick that up. Mike's making a point, tell me if I get it wrong, constructively that, hey, Trump doesn't like the UN to begin with. So they're going to downgrade this position. It's going to show
I'm not
his
saying they're gonna
contempt from the
downgrade it. I'm
body,
saying
and
he's
he's
gonna
going to put
choose his
somebody in
kind of
there
person.
that is basically going like this to the UN and saying, this is what I think of how important you are.
He's
This
going
is
to
who I'm
choose
putting
someone
in.
he trusts, is my point.
Well, but the point is that he's choosing somebody who doesn't have the experience of negotiating with heads of states or others in a diplomatic arena, even if you want to minimize the UN, which sends a whole nother signal about how much he wants the U.S. to be retreating from the globe, how he wants it to be U.S. alone, as opposed to us in partnership with allies to make us all stronger. We've got an extremely complicated and dangerous world out there, and to be able to put this in the hands of either a weakened UN where the U.S. is minimized, or somebody who isn't steeped in this history and in the knowledge of diplomacy is dangerous for the United States. That's the point.
Every woman who's in a senior leadership position at some point didn't have the experience and wasn't put in a place
Stop
to grow.
This.
That is what
do not be all feminist with me. Do not do that. It is insulting
I'm
to
sorry.
say.
I know.
that
I know
the
you don't
person
like
who's
it.
the
I know you're offended
No,
by it.
no,
But I
stop it.
believe what I'm
Stop
telling
it.
you. What I'm saying
Would you
is
just
that
let me
lots
finish?
of people.
You
one day,
cannot
no,
put
let me
somebody
finish.
in there
Heather
who
Nauert
is the
could be
least
Secretary of State
experienced
one day,
person
and we'll
in the
look back and
history
say,
of the
"Thank God this
United
president gave
States
her a chance."
for this position. Listen, it would be fine to give somebody a chance who was not in such a pivotal, critical position for the United States' safety. But this position is a serious, heavy position. It's not like you've got
women hear
lots
that
of
all the
women
time when
in
they
the
want to get a
Republican
promotion, don't
Party
they?
who
This
would
is
have
too
the
serious for
experience
you.
Mike,
to
are you
do
kidding
this.
me? Hold on a
Too serious
second.
for you.
Hold
You're
on,
not really.
I'm
we need
out
to
of
have
time, but I
someone
just want
else
to be
do
serious.
this.
Mike, are you playing at a point right now? Or you really mean this? Do you really
I really believe Republicans
that
need
Heather
a bench.
Nauert is an example?
We need to create
of
leaders.
a
I want
woman-
more women leaders
And
in
you
our
think
party.
that a starter job for somebody? Because
It's
that's
not
how
a
you're
starter
describing
job.
her,
She's
is
in the
that
State
she needs a
Department.
chance so she can become something
No,
great someday.
It's not a starter job.
The
She's in the
starter
State
job
Department.
is
But
the
what I
UN
reject
ambassador?
What I reject is that the president and the secretary of state have faith in this person, and she's in their inner circle. They trust her.
They have faith in Matthew
She's an
Whitaker.
official at the State
They have
Department.
faith in Matthew
and
Whitaker.
having
He had
another
faith in
woman
his
say
pilot.
we shouldn't
He
give
had
her a
faith
chance
in
because
his
she doesn't have the
doctor.
requisite experience is exactly what women are told all the time in
That's
the
not
workplace
true.
when
I'll
they're
tell you
not
what, I
getting
could
promoted.
find you 25 women in a quick Google search who work at the
Yes.
State Department right now who are
Yes.
eminently qualified for
Who
this.
don't have the
Women
President
have
and the Secretary of
qualifications.
State's trust
Mike, she's
to
not going to
trust.
pull off her apron and run out into the UN. Hey, I'm getting a shot. You're painting it like it's 1950. Come on now, Mike. You got
You said
tons
that,
of
not me.
qualified women in these positions. Come on. I mean, like, we're holding women back because we don't let someone who's completely unqualified
No, I'm
have a
talking about the
starter job
arguments
that
that
puts her
you're
in
already
charge of the
making
UN?
against her. You're already making the arguments against her that sound sexist to me. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, no, she is a perfectly qualified person to be a spokesperson with her history as an anchor. I am certain she is a smart person. This position is not a good match with her skills. And if the Republican Party really wants to do better with women, how about adopting policies that women support? This is why you lost so big in the midterm. This is why you're going to have a problem in 2020, is arguments like the one you are making right now, which is pandering and not putting somebody up who has the experience for the position.
Too much.
Thou doth protest too much. He said, and you know what's actually great about that? If you look at the context of when that was said in the play, that also shows the perils of putting a woman in a position when she's not ready for it. Come on. It's not about man or woman. It's about qualifications.